Well, the Jewish people have returned home to their ancient homeland and are working hard to uncover artifacts left over from the biblical time period. One such find is so exciting, and it confirms a story we just read in Deuteronomy. But the Bible itself is full of hidden gems of wisdom that if we just care enough to spend time in its pages and dig a little deeper, we also will uncover hidden gems and be blessed. Moses told the people that the secret things belong to the Lord, but what he has revealed to us is to be cherished and passed on to others. So welcome to this week's Shabbat Shalom devotional, when I seek to share a little inspiration and bring a little peace to the close of your very busy week. This week's Torah portion, we're going to cover 2 weeks' worth from Deuteronomy 29 through 32. This is because next week we're going to begin talking about the fall feast of Israel. But before we get started in today's reading portion, I do want to talk about something from last week's reading. The Jewish people love the Bible, and they are working so hard to uncover archaeological remains from the stories that are contained in the Bible. And they have found many artifacts from the Second Temple period, which is the time of the ministry of Jesus. And as they dug deeper, they then uncovered a good number of things from the First Temple period. And they've kept digging even deeper, and they're finding things from even older time periods. Now, I love it when they uncover something from the time of the conquest of the land. That's 3,250 years ago and more. And there's not a lot of remains left from that time. So when they find something, I find it particularly exciting. And that's one recent find. They found it on the top of Mount Ebal, which corresponds beautifully to the story that we read last week in Deuteronomy 27, where Moses instructed the 12 tribes that after they enter the land, they were to go to this area and divide into 2 groups, one on Mount Gerizim, the mountain of blessing, and one on Mount Ebal, the mountain of cursing. And from there, they were to recite the blessings and the curses found in God's covenant with them. Well, some years ago, an archaeologist claimed that he found the altar of Joshua that had been built on the top of Mount Ebal. They found other things, and one was a little lead amulet. An amulet is something that, like what we would call a locket today, where you open up the locket and inside you may see a couple of pictures or a little poem or something. They had this thousands of years ago. And in their amulet, they had found sometimes writing scripture verses. And this one, though, was so old and so fragile, they couldn't open it up to see what was inside. And now, through the advanced X-ray imaging technology that's available, they were finally able to X-ray and see what was written inside this little lead amulet. And it was the following words. It says, "You are cursed by the God Yahweh. Cursed you will die. Cursed you will surely die." Now, this sounds like very bad, right? It's a curse. But that's exactly what they were supposed to recite from Mount Ebal, was the curses that would be on the people if they disobeyed the law. And here they find a written curse. And the other astounding thing about this find is that it had the name of God in it, what we call the tetragrammaton, the YHWH. We try to pronounce it. We don't know how it's pronounced. And to the Jewish people, they avoid pronouncing that name. But it's the oldest known written script of the name of God, which proved the Israelite worship of that God way back then. I think that's so astounding. So now let's move on to this week. Moses tells the people to accept the terms of the covenant that he has presented to them. And then he says this very interesting thing in Deuteronomy 29:29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. So I'm just going to close with one lesson this week. One life lesson is that we don't know it all. There are some secret things that God has reserved as secret, and only He knows them. When you and I were young, we thought we knew it all, didn't we? The older we get, the more experienced we are, the more we see, we realize how little we actually know. So the important thing isn't what we don't know, and there will always be things we don't know and don't understand. What's important is what God has revealed to us, because we are responsible for that, to cherish it, to pass it on to our children, to future generations, to pass it on to others. So the Bible doesn't tell us everything we need to know, but it does tell us a lot, and God gave it to us. So if we are not reading it and learning from it, then we are at fault. We are to cherish it and to pass it on to others. No excuses. Doesn't matter what we don't know or the secret things that God has chosen not to reveal. You are responsible to cherish and nurture that which He has given to you and pass it on. And with that, I wish you Shabbat Shalom.